So first, I like to say that I'm someone who is a believer that hard work gets you far in life. And even if hard work does not guarantee you anything, such as passing a job interview or being successful for that matter, I believe it's a huge factor of success in reaching major goals. However, there's a major shortcoming of working hard and employing such an approach, and that is specifically the job interview when you beat yourself on too hard preparing for the occasion. And this could happen to anyone. I mean, you work super hard because you really want to achieve that goal, but the problem is, how do you know when it's time to maybe cool down a little bit and take a little break, because it will play against you? And I think I'm pretty good at giving advice with these things, because I passed through various such events. I also failed a couple of small businesses. So if you have such experience, you'll know that you have to be pretty good with stress, with handling stress in these situations. So I'd like to give you some advice on how do you know that you're basically beating yourself on too hard for the purpose of, in this case, a job interview. And I believe the first element you should be aware of is that stress is additive. In other words, stress adds over time. So for instance, if you've accumulated stress for, 1 or 2 years and you haven't taken any breaks, then you should know at some point you reach that breaking point, and it's not going to be a nice feeling, right? So stress is additive. So unless you take some breaks to recover from that stress, you should know that you have that stress who adds up, and it can show pretty much at any moment when you expect it the least. Right. The other thing I wanted to bring to your attention is that in some cases, people don't realize they've reached their breaking point, at least in terms of stress, and they try to really push the boundaries even further. Now, it could be because you don't realize that you've reached that moment, or it could be that you're too proud to acknowledge, hey, yes, I do have limits. I'm just a human being after all. And unfortunately, being proud and not willing to accept these things can have some pretty dramatic consequences. I know, unfortunately, with this happened with some of my friends. It also, I'm actually I've become quite good with these things, not to be too proud in these moments, and acknowledge when I have to stop, and even further, not to just acknowledge when you have to stop, but even seek for help if you so believe that it can play a role in your career. And by the way, when I'm saying help, I'm not saying that you should hire anyone as an interview coach for that occasion. No, I'm just saying that you need help to maybe to talk with some friends, to your family, and to really try to do everything you can to get back on track, even take a vacation if you want. But long story short, it's super important that you acknowledge that you do have a breaking point. And actually, job interviews in themselves are trying to push candidates to their limits, to push for stress and see, hey, how does this person cope in stressful situations? So beating yourself too hard for the purpose of job interview is a super dangerous approach unless you acknowledge that you do have some limits and you don't reach that limits. Or another parallel on how do you find your limits for this, how do you find that limit for the breaking point would be to think about from your university or from some important exams you took in your career, because that's usually when you push yourself to the limits. So that would be a great indicator. That would be a great way to think about, hey, how far can I go with these things? How hard can I beat on myself to prepare for the occasion? But long story short, I wanted to bring a little bit of awareness here that yes, this interview stress is a challenge, and it's something that you should take seriously. Of course, to the extent you are someone who enjoys working hard for the most part, and you are a believer that working hard is essential to achieve your goals in life, in both your personal, but especially for a professional achievement as well. So hopefully you found this useful, and thank you very much for watching.